Hey guys, ILene Vick here for Teaching Adult Coloring with ILene Vick. It is Monday, June 21st, and I am here broadcasting on Facebook and YouTube a Quickie coloring tutorial for how to do horsehair. Alright, so I've been getting a lot of questions on how to do this. So I thought I'd go ahead and pop out a tutorial for you. So you can learn the message. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So I'm working out of the book Age of Elegance. This is by Ellie Marks. Wonderful book, by the way, if you like this sort of thing. Victorian style images, line art. I mean, look how fun it would be to do these ruffles. Wouldn't that be great? Anyway, so the image is out of that. And I will also be showing, not this tutorial, how to do marker on the outfit, which I've done in some other versions of this, specifically this one here. And I will show you how to cut down on streaks using alcohol markers. Okay. So what you're going to need is an X-Acto knife. This is the method that I'm using. Zoom in. And what you want to do, you want to get your paper towel always to protect your paper. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to start scratching in with your X-Acto knife the pattern of the hair. Now, I like to use cardstock for this because if you start scratching on plain paper, I think you can see the obvious problems with that. And what you want to do is you want to scratch in the pattern of the hair that you want on the piece. Now, this is the point where you can do shorter hair, longer hair, whatever floats your boat. And the operative word here is scratching. You don't want to be gouging the paper, okay? And as you do this, you will get a feel for it. I promise. Now, there are a lot of applications for this method. Cat fur, dog fur, I'm going to say dog food. Bunny fur. And this is one of many methods that you can do. And this is how I happen to do it. So if you don't have an X-Acto knife, I would suggest pop over to Amazon or go to Walmart. Now, there are many brands of these knives. We call them X-Acto knives. That's a brand name, but we call them that, like Kleenex. You know, get me a Kleenex. Well, that's a brand name. Now what you want to do for your hair, is make sure that you get your lines closely. I knew I was going to do that I was going to say fur instead of hair, horsehair. Is you want to make sure that you get close together. And for me, I'm using small pulls of the knife. And also what you want to do is you want to periodically take your brush or your makeup brush, whatever you use to clean your page, and brush away those fine little particles that tend to come up. Now again, I'm working on cardstock. I think I mentioned that. Because honestly, when you go to do this on standard paper, it's very thin, because we know how thin coloring pages are. It really doesn't work well. Okay. And then just feel on your paper and make sure that you covered all the areas that you wanted to go. I've done that to myself as I've left some of them open. That's okay, you could go back. Zoom out. Zoom out. Okay, so here's what we have. Now, for this particular project, I'm going to go ahead and use a marker. This is water-based marker. You can use a colored pencil for this. And what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be putting down my base color, which then after that I'll go ahead and use pencil to do my shading, highlighting, that sort of thing. Zoom in. And what I want you to specifically see, zoom in, zoom in, is as I put the marker on the paper, what do you see coming up? The scratch marks. Isn't that cool? Now, if you want to add a few more marks in your paper, go ahead and do that. And then go right back over it with your marker. But keep in mind, when you go over it a second time, it's going to be darker, right? But that's okay as well, because that's another technique to start layering your colors. So I'm making new marks into the paper, and I'm going back over it with my water-based marker. And you can see the really interesting patterns it's making. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this coloring in. And guys, play around with it, experiment. And for gosh sake, guys, don't overthink this. It is not a difficult process at all. And you will also notice that I'm coloring in the direction of the marks that I have scratched into the paper. Now, if you go in the opposite direction, you're going to get darker areas, which is also fine because that just adds to the patina of the horse. So that's pretty cool itself. And again, experiment. Okay. You can layer marker on marker. You can put pencil on marker, which is what I'm going to do. It all looks really cool. Zoom out. Zoom out. Isn't that neat? All right, let's get down to the bottom here. And check out how really cool this is looking. Zoom out. How cool is that? Okay, now I'm going to take my next pencil color. So this is considered my light color if you were doing a light, medium, dark, which is what I've shown you before. And now I'm going to start to add my additional colors that I'd be making this horsehair. So this is where you're going to start shading your piece. Zoom in. Zoom in. Based on what you want your little guy to look. Now, if you have a certain horse breed that you're doing, Palomino, your red colors on your horses, your black. Remember, you add blue to black. This is where you'd be starting the process. And I'll tell you what, guys, this is so satisfying and fun. I can't explain why it's so much fun. I think a lot of it is because it just pops up beautifully quickly. Zoom out. Isn't that beautiful, guys? And if you want to add any extra shading like I'm doing underneath the nose here, there's another option for you. Zoom out. Isn't that beautiful, guys? Now, if you want to go on Google and look at pictures of horses for guidance, that would be a good idea to do that. I'm just going to smooth this with my finger. Now, I'm going to take my darkest brown, zoom in, and this is where now I'm going to start my highlighting. I call shading highlighting. That's just me. But I'm going to start adding my shadows. And my areas where I want my darker points and lines. Now, this is just like coloring on human skin. You know how we've colored the hairline and colored towards the background. Remember, when you darken something, that's telling the brain of the observer that it's recessing. Oh, that was my dog. Gesundheit, Vicky. All right, let me sharpen. And then here's where you're going to shadow. Zoom in. Zoom in. And remember, whenever you shadow something, what do I always tell you? Blend it out. Otherwise, you just got dark lines tracing things. Guys, look how beautifully that's coming out. So I've added this extra line right here for dimension. I'm going to darken underneath there a little bit. Zoom out. Zoom out. Doesn't that look fantastic? Now, you know me, I'm adding a little more to this tutorial, but zoom in. This is where now I'm taking black. Now, you've got to be really careful, guys, with black. And you need to make sure that you know how to blend it out. So I'm just making this eye more expressive. And look at the depth now that we've got on it, right? It looks like it's going in towards the eye. Now, underneath the bridle, now go ahead and put just a little bit under there. Little goes a long way, guys. Isn't that beautiful? So I put just a little bit to the right here. That's all I'm going to do, is put it to the right here and to the right here. So I'm just touching it up. Now, a little bit of black in between the fingers. And a little bit below the second part of this bridle. I'm going to tidy this up just a little bit. That's just me. Now, zoom in, zoom in, and I'm also going to put a little bit under here, and that's going to make this upper area pop up, right? Because we're creating that shadow. Okay, and I could go on with this, but I want to show you the basics. Zoom out. Zoom out. There you go. Doesn't that look gorgeous, guys? So this is one of several methods on how to color horsehair. You're using your X-Acto knife to create your grooves in your paper. You're filling it in with marker, which gives you the initial light and dark. Notice how I crossed the hair here. I knew I was going to say fur, and I was doing so well. And I think we've got a great looking piece. Play with it, have fun. Not difficult. Zoom in. Okay guys, this is ILene Vick for Teaching Adult Coloring with ILene Vick. This is a Quickie coloring tutorial on how to do horsehair. And I hope that this helped you, because I sure had fun doing it for you. Alright guys, don't forget, every night 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on live. You can yak at me or yak to other people. Alright guys, take care. Joyous, joyous coloring. And I'm so glad you could stop by to look at this tutorial. Take it easy. Bye.